Hi guys, good evening. Welcome in Stone.
I'm Femke, this is Marco, and we will be your hosts during this very special evening where we will introduce you the new Severne sales. It's a very special evening and we want to give you all a very warm welcome. A lot of people signed up, so thank you for being here.
Let's go inside.
Yeah, we show you the center.
And tonight, a special welcome for Cedric and Matteo, who have been here in Stone before. Thank you. So let's give them a warm welcome, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome to everyone who has never been here before. We want to give you an insight in this big shop. Let's have a look around.
Of course, lots of nice boards, all kind of brands. Star boards, which are great. And let's come to the booth.
Here in the background, we see where it's all about tonight. The new Severne racing sales for 2025. And it's quite a special day because we have Matteo and Cedric tonight, who have been really involved in designing the sales, and they will tell you all about it tonight.
Exactly. So first of all, if something happens, something is wrong, or the communication is not so good, just send a quick message and Marco is able to respond. And now, before we start diving all in the windsurf sales technique, we would like to introduce to Matteo and Cedric first. Cedric, can you explain a little bit about what you are doing at Severne and what your, let's say, role or job description is in the team?
Hello, everybody. So yeah, now I joined Severne like 3 years ago. My plan was just to get good gear and have some fun on the water. But somehow I finished to try some sales for Severne. And I'm close to Matteo. He's a good friend of mine, and we are good friends actually. So everything comes naturally. And the last 2 years, I'm testing a lot of things for Severne with Matteo and some other rider on the side.
Great, thank you. And are you both located in Spain or France, or where you originated from?
Me, I live in south of France, and actually it's a super good place because even now we can sail during all winter. It's like 11, 12 degrees, so it's not too cold. And the good things about south of France is there is a lot of good guys on the water. So for testing, it's key because I always find fast guys around. I have access to also gear from every brand to see who is fast, who is not fast. And also the 2 French magazines, Veen and Planche Mag, are doing a great job with testing all the gear. So I'm close to them and I can see if they like our product or not to try to improve them the year after.
Great, thank you for the introduction. Matteo, quick question to you. We all know you from the PWO contest. Can you explain a little bit about your role in the team in terms of feedback to sale development?
Yeah, hello everybody. I've been in the Severne team since 2018, so it's been a long time. And I always enjoyed being in the team. Yeah, we have amazing sales, but the vibe in the team and the whole Severne family is just sick. They are all passionate for windsurfing, so that's the nice part of it, I guess. And yeah, as Cedric said already before he joined Severne, we were good friends. We were going for some trips, wave sailing together, and we always had a good relationship. So when we started together, testing was nice. We were already actually testing before races or something during the PWA World Tour. So yeah, testing the sails together, it just came naturally, as he said. And yeah, I'm racing for Severne, and I do some R&D on the racing parts, on the racing sails with Ced. As he said, he went in just to get good gear, but in the end he ended up testing everything kind of. Whereas I help him testing only the racing sail, let's put it this way. So yeah, it has been good so far, and yeah, I'm looking forward for many more years on Severne.
Thanks. All right, so for all the people joining, which are quite a lot of two actually, of course you're curious to the new sales. We will dive into it a bit later with Femke also explaining about both the foil sales and maybe even the moto more hybrid sail. As a sail, as a windsurfer, I'm just curious about actually how the Severne sails are developed. We all know there is this guy, Mr. Ben Severne, behind the sails. How does it work, Cedric? I mean, is Ben on his rooftop designing a new sail on a laptop? Can you explain a little bit about the process and well, the factory behind it?
Okay, so it always depends. There is no real fixed plan because we were working all year long, basically. And the most important things when you make a product is to know where you are and where you would like to go. Because sometimes if you just say, I want to go fast, this means absolutely nothing. So you have first to have a clear vision about your good point and the point to improve. So this is for me the key parameters. And from there, we can ask the designer maybe to improve some parameters like the control or the handling or the acceleration. Then Ben make his own cooking because he's a boss and he's a designer. And personally, when Ben is doing that, I prefer not to speak with him, to let him do what he has to do. Because if I know exactly what he's doing, I can be influenced on the water when I will try the gear. So yeah, Ben is designing some prototype on his own. And then the goal is to try to have them as soon as possible in Europe. So me and Matteo, we can try the sail. And then this is the fun part, to try the gear, because it's where you can discover some good point or not. But this one has to be done on a really good condition, because if you are overexcited, you can think easily like the new prototype looks better. But if it's not the case, then you're going to go on the wrong direction for the next 6 months or maybe 1 year and a half. Sorry? Yeah. So yeah, Ben is doing that. And then when we finish the testing, in general, I send a long email to Ben, sometime too long probably, but with all the points that we find on the water. And then Ben can do a second round of prototype. And it's going like this all year long. And for sure, at one point, we have some deadline, because deadline is super important to have the gear on time and to reserve some slots for production at the factory. So basically, it's a non-stop project all year long. And when the sail arrives, it's a rush every time. But it's a good rush.
I can imagine. Thanks a lot for the explaining. Femke, any questions in between?
Yeah, I'm specifically interested in, for example, if you test a racing bike, you can do it all the time on the same track. But of course, in windsurfing, the conditions change every day. So are you testing on the same spot? Are you actually testing on a lot of different spots? Or what's the best way to find the perfect sail?
It's a good question. Personally, I never try sail with GPS, because GPS is a good tool for sure. But it's, if you take a good gust and then the gust disappears 20 minutes after when you change the sail, the result can be wrong. So the most important thing when you do this is to have a really good partner. You don't change any settings. You go out, you see who is faster or slower or have more acceleration or more control when it gets to right. And then you come back to the beach, you change another parameters, and you do the same thing several times. And in general, I prefer to do this first test in flat water, because in flat water, you can really see how the sail reacts when a gust arrives, when an all of wind arrives. Because if you do that on technical spots, it can be influenced by the chop and everything. So yeah, the most important thing is to do it with a friend that you believe in, and who is ready to spend like 8 hours non-stop for one day.
Okay, thank you, Cedric. I think that's quite clear.
I think so too. So people wondering, hey, I reached out to Surfcenter and I sent a question. We noted them. So that's why I'm checking on the laptop screen to see if we didn't really miss out any question. So let's see. You have seen the new sail behind us. So let's ask Matteo a little bit. Matteo, can you explain what is actually new to the Mach 8? So when you compare it to the previous sails, where, to your opinion, are the, let's say, the best improvements?
Yeah, like visibly, you just usually see the graphic. We all get excited about graphic because it's brand new. I actually love the new graphic, but I never know if I love it because it's brand new, so it's original, and then I get used to it, and then when it's something new, now you're getting exciting. But I like it a lot. But yeah, the head of the sail is a bit bigger. And in general, the feeling, the feeling on the water, it's softer, let's say, and is there is a more low end. So with Cedric, we found like last year, we had amazing, like really good top speed, let's say. But maybe we were missing a little bit when the hull was coming, or you kind of want it to be overpowered all the time. Whereas I would say now, no matter the size, you can kind of play better on the downside of the range of the sail. So when before you wanted to be overpowered, full power all the time, now you're not scared. If the wind drops a little bit, you will be still able to fight. And this low end helps you a lot on the race course. Like if you go out with friends, it matters obviously because you want to be the fastest on the water, but on the race course it's a matter of life or death. So to be able to overtake people, to be able to generate this little gap when someone is pointing you up and you want to like kind of have this extra push to react and accelerate, and like all this stuff on the race course, you need power. So it's good to keep the high end of the sail, but improve the low end of it. The high end stayed the same as the sail is stable. So having a stable sail makes you go easy also when the wind picks up. We never had any problem on the high end, I would say. If anything, we were many times missing a bit of low end, and now I guess we feel this gap. The sail is incredibly fast. The 6.5 is my favorite of the range, and in Fuerte on the latest proto, I posted a reel yesterday. But I did almost 45 knots on the last latest version, and I was on the Isonic 63, and I did like almost 42 knots over the 500 meters and a peak of almost 45, which to be on a 6.5 on the small board is impressive. So the sail is still fast on the high end, I would say.
I think
but
now we have a lot of
sail
people
works nice
getting excited because I noticed on the registers there are quite some people using GPS trackers when windsurfing. So when you tell that you make 45 knots with a 6.5 sail, it's quite promising.
Yeah, and I know I was not on a speedboard. I was on the Isonic 63 before the Fuerteventura World Cup. It was a really nice day for speed sailing in Fuerte. Let's say it was flat and offshore, so it was nice condition, but was not like it was open sea. Like a normal day you can find like in south of France many times, in Grissan, in Holland for sure, because you have amazing spots like flat water spots. So I think it's a really good and fast sail, no matter if you want to go fast on the slalom gear, on the speed gear, or race.
Great, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, so if I understand correctly, I agree, the graphics are really nice, but it's also really about the top speed. But for the general windsurfer who really likes to race with slalom sails, what would be the main advantage for example, this Mach 8 versus the Mach 7, if he's not racing or not really that much into GPS speed surfing to really break the records?
With one sail, you can cover more conditions. So with 6.5, you can sail in lighter winds. Right? No problem. You can put it on a medium board and will still rail the board nicely and will still work in lighter winds. So let's say without changing so much the sail, you still have a really good performance, and which is a really good point. I don't know if Cedric wants to add something on this.
Yeah, I think Matteo wants to win at any price, and I fully agree with what he said. And me, I also come back with a background about testing some board and sail for normal customer in free wave, free ride, everything. So when we are testing with Matteo, I always try to have the best gear possible, but also user-friendly. And for me, in general, a good product or a good sail is something that you go and, okay, you spend a bit of time tuning it at the beach, but not too much. The product has to work itself alone. If you start to spend hours to tune the sail, change button, everything, that means the product is not ready. And I think with the Mach 8, it's almost plug-and-play sail now, because the sail has a little bit more drive, a little bit of natural power, that naturally you will go fast, and Mach 7 was really good, but sometimes you were missing a little bit of trim or acceleration, and you have to compensate this with a special fin size or sitting on the board. Now this is not the case. You just take the sail and you almost walk alone. You still need to go on the water for sure and close the sail, but it's more plug and play than before.
Okay, I think that's quite clear.
Absolutely. Cedric, you mentioned about tuning several times. It's very important to be prepared with a good rig. Many of the attendees will be joining our DEFI Wind Clinic, where of course Matteo will be as well, and Femke as well. We will get another few questions about tuning tips. Just wanted to give you some heads up. These questions came in actually today or yesterday. Matteo, what if it's really, really light wind? Will there be a Mach 8 sail in a big dimension like 9.5?
Maybe I can jump here, because it was a good question that we have inside. And I think it's like in falling. Even in slalom, you don't need big sails as like 3-4 years ago, because the gear is more efficient. So even with a smaller size, you have similar low ends than the 9.2 or 9.6 from the past. And at the end of the day, even if it's right 8.5, it can have the power of a 8.8 or 9.2 or vice versa. So I'm not sure having a 9.0 with a modern shape of a Mach 8 will bring so much low end and have the same control and range under 8.5. It's a little bit like the trend in foiling. At the beginning, we were all in 10 meters. Now nobody wants 10 meters anymore. We want 9, and maybe in the future we're going to end up with the 8.5 as the biggest size. So I think with the 8.5 you have enough power for sure.
Great. It's actually a question of one of the attendees from tonight. Femke.
Yeah, there was one question about how to downhole the sail correctly. Of course, a sail will only work right if you put the right downhole, but how do you know without any physical markers in the sail?
Yeah, like there is a new page that actually the Severne guys, Kurosh and the other guys, they posted like lately. You can find the QR code on the lower part of the sail where the specs are written, and that would actually send you to a frequently asked question page, which we try to answer in the best way possible. Feel still free to ask directly to us if you have any other question, but we had like answer to many questions, I guess. And so between the specs that are written down there plus the QR code, I'm pretty sure you can find the right setting for the sail, especially as Cedric said, it's quite easy. I mean, you just have to follow the specs, but regarding button tension, over downholing, under downholing, cam rotation, all this stuff, you can find a lot answered there in the QR code, which I think is a really good update, because we all have the phone in our pockets when we are rigging up or whatever, and if there is any issue, any problem, any question, you just scan it, and straight away you get to that page. And it works for both the Mach 8 and the Hyper 8. So you have like both settings dedicated for the sail.
I heard we got a specific question from Mark. Maybe he can ask the question now.
Is it for me?
Yes, you, Mark.
Oh, I had a few questions, but especially from the Catrol downhole system. I'm a really old windsurfer, so I did it with the UP sails back in the day, and there was just a Catrol down system with a hook on it, so you don't have to put in all the lanes into the Catrol to downhole it. Why just a ring in the sail and to put a Catrol in the sail, so you rig it fast in and out? And why is always the Catrol in the sail stitched and not just an open eye? Do you understand the question?
Yeah, I understand. But actually, with a pulley inside the sail, okay, you maybe lost 1 minute to pass the rope through that, but it's quite fast at the end of the day. And modern sail in general require more tension than back in the day. So that's why you need to have this with a good extension. And like this, you can download the sail quite easy. I know it's sometimes a change compared to your old system, but to be honest, it works really nice, and we are all doing this. So I guess everybody is happy with that, more or less.
Okay.
Thank you. So we have a few more left. I'm going to pick one up to Matteo. We have some people amongst the session who are using Severne Mach 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even Reflex. But let's say you have a Mach 5 or a Mach 6. If you step up to the Mach 8, which is tempting because they're really sexy, what else besides the looks is it actually a difference?
Yeah, like every year, obviously we will go to the moon, no? If there was a huge difference from one year to another, but every year there is like small steps in the right direction. So the year we changed, let's for example, from the old dimensions to the new ones, it was a big step, I guess. So when we went from like we had 655, 62, 70, 78, so that the range, it's easier to. I think it's way easier now to change to choose the sail. Sorry, to use that day. Was even difficult for us changing sometimes between 562 and 55 or 62 70, and then you had to trim the 70 on both the medium and the small, and then the 70 was a bit too big for the small board, you know, all this stuff. So I would say first of all, for a weekend sailor that loves slalom, makes life easier, the new dimensions. That's for sure. And then obviously the performance is better. So as Cedric said before, the 8.5 now would for sure outperform the 8.6 that we had before, and definitely be faster than the 9.4 we had, which were all really nice sails, super easy going, let's say. Especially 9.4 was super easy, but the 8.5 would be way faster, being lighter on the board as well. So it would be easier to jibe, for example, the 8.5 than the old 9.4, and would have a better low end than the 8.6 we had. So yeah, like I think a customer who was already on Severne back then, it would still find this easy friendly product, which is probably the best part of Severne, which is plug and play. But it would have like a definitely faster and better acceleration on the sail.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Before I hand over to Femke,
you can to make it short, you can be faster using less effort, less energy. So it's like kind of a less physical sail, which is quicker than the older versions of it.
All right, makes sense. Well, I do have to defend our people on this call, because we're not weekend sailors. We're all professionals, but we just don't have the time to participate in the competition.
Definitely.
Okay, Femke.
Yeah, then we have another question. Quite a specific one. Let's say I'm using a Fox 95 liters and I'm 75 kilos. Which sail type should I use for the Defi? And which sizes would be good to use?
So we can speak about Defi now if you want a bit, because I am used to go to this place since I'm a kid, and it can be the best place on earth and the most horrible place on earth also, because the wind is so hard. So it will really depend if you go when alone, more or less, or for doing the Defi, because when you do the Defi, you have a lot of people around, so you need to take a sail a little bit bigger than if you are alone. But in general, I always prefer to have a big board under my foot and a small sail into the end, because when a gust arrives, if you have a big sail into the end, you're gonna die. And modern sail have so much low end that you can take, for example, a 5.5, even if you can put a 6.5 on the Fox's 94. I will suggest to take a 5.5, who will be more friendly, with almost the same low end, but much more control and glide on an easy way.
Okay, thank you. This is specifically about the sizes, but I was particularly interested in which model I can use? Because
sorry.
up to now we have been speaking about the Mach, but of course Severne has also the Moto or the NCX.
Yes, for me and Matteo, I think we want to go fast, for sure. But modern freeride gear has so much performance and range. It's amazing, to be honest. The NCX, I love the NCX. It was the best freeride sail since 10 years. A lot of brands try to reach the same level of performance and range. And now we have the Moto. Moto will have less brutal power than the Mark 8, a little bit less low end, but it will be effortless and a little bit slower. But to be honest, for a lot of guys, I suggest to take the Moto and not the Mach 8. Mach 8 is really when you need something to go really fast, you are in good shape, condition, and everything. But with a Moto, you will be a little bit slower, but it will be super easy to use. So Moto is not sail for a beginner, like something really nice.
Yeah, I tried the Moto myself yesterday, the latest one, the production. I tried the 6.8 and the 7.4, I think. 7.2. Yeah, and yeah, I loved it. I actually last year I liked it, but it was a bit too soft, let's say, for heavy riders. And I think now with the sail improved a lot. I was impressed how nice it was, and yeah, it's planing early and it's actually really fast. I was in a flat water spot here in Tenerife, in the harbor, and on my small slalom board, and I liked it a lot. So I would probably suggest for the Fox a Moto, which is lighter on the board and like easy going, as Cedric said. Especially on the Defi wind, if you do like 40 kilometers, you will probably be faster on a comfortable gear, pushing all the time, than like having a hype in the first 500 meters and then you die, and you spend the rest of the race surviving. So I would suggest the Moto, and as Cedric said, maybe a little bigger board, and then something around 6 meters would help you surviving. Unless
Thanks.
It's like howling,
And you
can be like
speak about
nuclear.
surviving the Defi wind race. Could something else help to survive the Defi wind, like an outwall system?
Yeah,
definitely. I think it is mandatory. I mean, Cedric now will say his thing because he said way more than me over there. But also because of that, I had hard experience because I didn't sail much there before the race, and without an outdoor system, I don't know how to. Obviously, if you go with a sail that you just like, you have no cams, you set it up once, it's okay. With the NCX, maybe you can go without. But if you have some cams, you want to make the sail flatter. One reach is always kind of upwind, and the other one is a bit downwind or cross. So on one side, you want to pull the outdoor, and many times you have like a lot of wind on the other side, and this light wind on this side, or the opposite. So you want to adjust the sail in the meanwhile. So I think it's mandatory an outdoor system on the Defi wind. I don't know if Ced wants to add more.
Yes,
Matteo, I was reading. Sorry, Cedric. I was reading the frequently asked questions on the Severne webpage. I read that you have like incredible long harness lines, 40-inch and longer. It seems like huge. Can you explain, or you or Cedric, why you use these long harness lines?
You're talking about foiling, because in foiling we need. I also use it quite a lot, like super long in fin, because I like to be low on the water, especially if it's high winds. Mm-hmm. You have to play a lot. It depends. No, it's not always that you need long harness lines. No, it's like you have to play it with the conditions. But on foiling, we need long harness lines because you want the control. And the gear we're using now is like we have really light sails, and we have not pushing the nose of the board down, and we have the foils pushing up a lot. So you want to actually be far from the gear and sitting as low as possible. This gives you speed and control. So it's a new way, let's say, that was born in the last, let's say, 3-4 years. We're going longer and longer. I now use more than 40 even in light winds on the 9 meters. So it's I feel comfortable and faster on that. On the fin is different, obviously. Of the fin, I go between 32 with the 8.5, and I go up to 38 with the 5.5 full power. So like I wouldn't get to 40 on the fin. Whereas on foil, let's say you play between 38 or 40 to 46 inches.
Perfect. Thanks.
I want to add something because for DeFi wind, having adjustable harness line is a key. Because as Matteo said, the wind always change a bit. So you can have the feeling to be upwind on one side and downwind on the other one. The wind can drop a lot also. And if you have an adjustable harness line, you can gain like easily 2-3 knots of control and 2-3 knots of low end if the wind drops. So for me, it's mandatory to have adjustable harness line, even with a 2 camber sail or 0 camber sail like the M6, because you will improve the range a lot. And concerning harness line, Matteo has super long harness line also because he has 2 arms like an albatross more or less. So when I take the gear of Matteo, I need to shorten the harness line because it's too long for me. But so okay. It also depends your body size and how your genetics are.
All right. Well, thanks for explaining. You mentioned DeFi wind. I need to remind you, people who did not register, that we do have like 2 or 3 slots open for the clinic. Sorry, Cedric, you will be there, but it's Matteo who's having all the fun with us. But if anyone is doubting, in Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, feel free to reach out and join the party because it's really cool. And actually today, I was communicating with someone in France who still has an Airbnb for rent. So if you need a place to stay, then we can hook up with you. All right. Maybe it's a good idea to pause a little bit and see if there are specific questions from the audience which we might have not addressed. And our director assistant is telling us that please type them in the chat, and then we will get them answered. And to try to see the questions in the chat on a mobile phone, which is not the most perfect solution.
Maybe we can just go to Mark.
Yeah. Do you have the question, Mark? Mark, by the way.
Yes, that is me. Pavel asks, can you please say something about the new SEM Apex team masts? Me and my friends broke many Apex masts on the Mach 6 and Mach 7 sails, and my Apex mast snagged while rigging an M7 sail. Can you guarantee that the new Apex mast will work good on both the M7 and the M8 sails?
Yeah. Yeah, it was an issue, especially on the small size, but it was really strange, to be honest, because, for example, Matteo has some masts who don't break, and me, I was younger on the team, so some of my masts break. So at the end, we changed the construction of all the masts, 430, 460, 490, 530. And the factory sent to me some masts and no mast break. So from this point, they wanted to start the production straight away, and I was a bit worried. So we asked the factory to send 10 masts of each side that we divide between Matteo, Blanca, me, Amado. And we get this mast in June last year. And same performance than before, and I touch wood just now, and no one break. So, yeah. And also, Ben changed a bit the curve into the sail and the pressure at one time where it was a weak point, maybe. Personally, I was sometimes deleting some spacer on it to have a little bit less pressure on camber number 3 and more on the rest of the sail. So I'm really optimistic about this, and I'm waiting my new mast who should arrive soon.
Yeah, I want to add quickly something about it because I received my Mach 8 as well, and I was checking them out and whatever, and I think it's the new mast is reinforced and it shouldn't break, but check out the tension of the cambers, as Cedric said. You might have too much tension on camber number 2 and 3, counting from the bottom, so the 2 cams, let's say, around the boom. In case you feel there is too much tension putting the cams in or when the sail is rigged, you can take out the spacers, even the iron part, that protects the sail, you can take it out. And then, especially if the sail is brand new, you know, and then you can always edit afterwards when the sail stretches, you can add it back, because sometimes when it's brand new, you have a lot of tension, and even if the mast is reinforced, you don't want to have that much, because the cam rotation might end up bad, and it might damage the mast. So yeah, take care of this.
Thanks.
We have a question from Harry. Is it right that the sails, the Olympic sails, aren't changed until the Olympics in Los Angeles?
That's a good question. I hope Cedric knows.
No,
I think so.
Yeah, it's an ongoing discussion. And for example, it was not planned to change the size of the sail, because they go down from 9 to the men to 8 meters and 8.73 to 8 to 7.3 meters for the girl. So I think it will stay like this, but with this World Sailing Association, you never know. But normally they will stay the same.
Okay, and then we have another question. How exact the sizes are? So is it exactly 5.5, 6.5, 7.5, and so on? Or maybe 5.5 and 6.5 are a bit closer together?
No, normally the gap between 7.5, 6.5, 5.5 is always the same, but sometimes maybe the 6.5 can be a 6.55 or something like this. But like in the board, it's marginal. It's like if a board is 120 liters or 121 liters, you will not feel it. If it's a good board or bad board, you will feel it. So it's the same for the size. There is number right on the sail, but for me, the most important is that the sail is working together with the mast for the correct range. So yeah. The gap is 1 meter between all sizes, and sometimes from one year to the other one, we make the sail a little bit smaller or bigger, depending what we would like to achieve at the end of the day.
Perfect. Thank you very much. There are some questions popping in. Another question about the mast. 90%, 100%. I would say let's do first. Can I put a 2025 red mast in a Mach 5 sail? That's
yeah, the carb didn't change, so you can definitely put the new mast on the older sail. There's no problem about that. It's constant curve and it's gonna work anyway. Yes.
And one follow-up question on that: can you improve the sail if you don't want to modify the mast?
What do you mean?
Like if you, I think he means like if you have the same sail and you want to increase the performance and it's not a new Mach 8, are there other ways than just changing the mast?
Well, it's a good question. I think a lot of time I saw some rider having a sail and trying to find a good mast to fit the sail. But I think it's the opposite. You have to build the sail around the mast. And it's what we do at Severne. We have the mast, apex. Okay, some of them break, but to be honest, me and Matteo, we try all the mast of the market. And the apex was the best by far. So we keep designing the sail around this mast, reinforced for sure. And this is how it works, because if you try to do the opposite way, okay, you will find a mast who seems to be good, but at the end, it will not hold the pressure of the sail on the correct way when a gust arrives, and it will be endless and endless testing for nothing. So it's like that.
Great, thank you very much.
And you were explaining before that sometimes you can tape some spacers out, but how do you know when there's the correct tension?
Well, if you have problem putting the cameras in, even if the current amount of downhole and outhole is there, as specified in the QR code exactly, that might be like too much tension. Also, when you downhole it, if you have problem swapping the cams, it might be that there is too much tension. In general, I know it might sound weird, but if the sail is brand new, I wouldn't mind taking out the spacers from the cams around the boom, sail with the sail like a few sessions, and then if I miss pressure in the cams, I put them back. So this way, I'm sure it's gonna work, and I'm not gonna have any problem. On the other hand, if I keep the pressure high, I might have some, even if I don't break the mast, like it might damage the outer layer of the mast itself or whatever. So I don't want to have that happening. So I suggest no matter what, to remove the spacers on the Mach 8 on the two count, number 2 and number 3. And then if you miss some tension after a few sessions, when the sail stretches out and gets looser and sits naturally as it's supposed to be, then you can add it back. Otherwise, there's no problem.
And another point linked to that, for me, it's better to have not enough spacers and too much for sure. But one important point is the batten tension. Having enough batten tension is super, super important for me. When the sail arrives, normally there is some batten tension, but you can put a little bit more. And especially after 2 or 3 sessions, the sail naturally stretch a bit, so you can add batten tension. And batten tension will help you on both things, to have a little bit more low end for sure, because the power will be closer to the mast, and also more stability. When a gust arrives, the sail will stay in place instead of moving too much. So batten tension is super important to put every 5-6 sessions, you can put half a rotation of a key, and it will be good.
Great. So let's move on a little bit. I see a question from Paco. Actually, I read that on the Severne webpage. I think Matteo tries to stick to the same settings from downhole, and he even writes them down when he rigs a sail. And only after a few sessions you have to readjust, because the sail is actually stretching a little bit. And then we have a question from Germany. Welcome, Patrick. There are a lot of flat water sports in the Netherlands. I know Patrick is a big fan of Outdorp. It's a speed spot, but it's actually a good question. So Severne has developed this Luderitz sail edition, which has a specific shape for speed. Cedric, what do you suggest is the most suitable sail for a Dutch speed spot, where you do not have normally a really broad angle? Just buy the new Mach 8, that's all he says.
Yes. Luderitz is a special place for speed. It's so easy to go fast compared to Lecat or some spot in Netherlands. So basically, in Luderitz, you don't need so much power, so much drive into the sail, and you just want to have some glide and some release. But one more time, for me, when a sail is good almost everywhere. If you have to go to a special place with a special sail, it's a little bit tricky. So for me, personally, if I go again Luderitz one day, I will take the 5.0 Mach 8, and that's it. Maybe I can take the 5.5 for the light day, but when you go for the record, it's going to be too big. So at the end of the day, I will end up to finish with the 5.0 Mach 8. And we try also, to be honest, some prototype with 8 batten to have a little bit more stability, and because of that, to have a little bit more speed. But at the end, I prefer the 7 batten, because with 7 batten, you have a little bit more juice and more acceleration. And even in speed, you need that. You need that to stay close to the shore. You need that to, when the gust hits the sail, to accelerate straight away. And the good point of the Severne, but not only Mach 8, but also Mach 7 and Mach 6, was the stability and the top speed. So now with the Mach 8, we improve the low end a bit. And I think this is important for speed also, because in speed, sometimes you use small boards, the wind is not perfect, and we cover a little bit more range.
Yeah, as I said before, in Fuerte last year, I was impressed. I never hit 45 knots on a 6.5 in open sea on a normal spot, let's say. And I guess it's a really impressive speed for a normal racing day, let's say. So it's Bruno was there. He was doing amazing speeds. He was on a 5.6. He went over 45 that day, but he was on a 1 meter less sail. So I was overpowered, and the Mach 8 was performing insanely good. So I didn't feel the need of having anything different, because as Cedric said many times, you don't have the perfect condition. No, you want to be fast as possible in a non-perfect condition. And also when I go to south of France for the World Championship of Speed, where Cedric comes to, and we are many guys there together. It's a lot of fun. If you want to come, it's super cool. And I actually use the Mach 6. I used Mach 5, Mach 6, Mach 7. I'm gonna use Mach 8 this year. And last year on the Mach 7, the windiest hit, I won it on the 5.5. So yeah, as Seth says, probably like the speed sail in Luderitz, you can probably use it 100%. But on a normal spot, you want to be fast, and maybe it's crosswind, maybe it's not so broad. If it's broad, it's choppy. So I think the Mac being a slalom sail is gonna make you faster in those conditions.
Thank you. So, Femke, just 1 second. People in the call, we welcome in the spot, in the surf shop, to actually check the sails and all the stuff we have. I'm pretty sure if we join it every wind, Matteo or Cedric will be so nice to help you with some rigging tips. One of the questions, will there be a video of how to tune your Mach 8? There's a lot of tips on the Severne website. You can reach out to the Surfcenter shop as well, and we will hook you up with the guys. Just because of the time, I thought of we have to skip some questions. We'll reach out to you, to each attendee afterwards, to see if there are any questions remaining, and see if we need to do any follow-up. Femke, you had one question.
Yeah, I think there was one question about the masts. We have the blue and the red in the RDM sizes, and the Apex and Apex Pro, which will become the Apex team. Is the curve between the masts always the same? And what will be the main difference in performance?
Yeah, the blue mast is a really good mast. The blue mast has a little bit less reflex, I would say, in terms that the sail would come back. The sail is like kind of bending and coming back when you hit the chop, no? So let's say that the blue makes you feel the sail a bit less alive in terms of the fact of that the sail comes back a little bit slower. So you would miss something of that. On the other hand, if you sail in a super choppy water, maybe you are not so heavy and stuff, you would feel, first of all, this thing less, and maybe you actually feel it nice because makes it easier in a way, no? So we are used to like a really direct sail, as Cedric said before, and the red mast would give you this direct feeling. So direct acceleration, better acceleration of the jibe, and better top end speed and everything. But the blue mast have the same curve, and also makes the sail feel kind of easier and a bit less direct. So could be working nice as well, and it is less fragile. You can leave it in the sun longer if you sail in a super hot place and you don't want to direct the sail directly. On the Apex Red is like 100% mast, so you need to really take care of it. It's a racing part, no? It's like having a full racing car and you don't want to hit, I don't know, a speed bump, full power, no, and break it. So you have to take care of the red mast, like direct the sail if you leave the sail in the sun and whatever. Like the blue mast is a bit more forgiving on that.
Right. Sounds like a very good explanation. Who else has an important question which we missed? Feel free to type in, or maybe even unmute, because we do have some time.
Yeah,
I have
a question about the boom length and the profile entry. I read it on the site that the profile is flatter than the Mach 7, but the boom length also is short. How can you have a profile deep enough to accelerate with this sail? I have
Cedric, you are
muted. Yeah. I have an experience with the Mach 5 and the Mach 6, and they are both a little bit wide in the boom length, and they are a deeper profile. But that's also thanks from Femke that I can bought her old sails. Works actually great, but the profile is now more shorter, exactly. I think,
in front of you than it's a good question. Back in the days,
my internet is not
yeah, did you hear me?
That's perfect.
Okay, basically back in the day, all the shape and profile were in the sleeve, so around the mast area. So you have some drive, but this was draggy. It's like the profile of a fins. If it's super thick, it brings power, but then it's draggy. Now the power is a little bit more in front of the rider, so the entry is a little bit flatter, and this with natural glide. And because we make the sail a little bit bigger into the head, we have more power and area in front of you to bend the mast and come back with energy. So now we have the power from the top of the sail, when before it was from the sleeve, more or less. But as soon as you plane, the sail is flatter, so you have more glide. So it was a big change and small change on the same time, but the result on the water and in feeling is quite different. So the sail glide naturally through the wind now. And the boom,
you don't need that much more extra downhill now, because otherwise you flatten the sail out.
I still like personally to have quite a. If you have not enough download, you're just going to be a little bit slower when the big gust arrive, but you will have a good range. Me and Matteo, we are racing in PVA where we are jack normally, so we put a lot of download, but you can always put a little bit less than before for sure. And one point to hide, it's about the boom length. We were trying to make the boom a little bit longer back like 1 year ago when we start the testing. And I was surprised personally because this brings just drag and not more power. Yeah. So at the end, that's why our boom length is not so long. So you have a sail super easy and stable into the end, and the sail glide naturally into the end. It's not like some sail from other brands, for example, they are super good on water and a lot of performance, but you need to be really physical. You really need to clear the boom and go with power. I think with the Mark 8 is one of the most easy sail to use.
So I really have to change my Mark 6, 8.6 to the Mark 8, because that's the boom length difference is 11 centimeters.
Yeah, it's a lot. And also we play, if you overlap the two sail on the height of the boom position, it's a little bit more high. So it brings also a little bit more power, even if it's shorter in terms of length.
Right. Cédric, merci beaucoup. Jeanette has a question, if I understood correctly. And while she is getting back, there is let's say, a comment on the availability on the sails. I think that's an important one. Maybe Cédric can support me a bit. I think the number of sails which are produced are kind of limited. So the factory, as well as the distributor and shops, really would like to know upfront a little bit about what to expect. Because many of us feel that windsurfing equipment is quite expensive, and you have to find a good shop who's able to support you. So if the shop's not up front what they can order, they can actually increase the order. So the availability for the Mach 8, if I'm correct, it's better compared to the Mach 7. But if you want to know details, just call the shop and it will tell you all about what sizes are still available and if there will be restock or do you have to wait another year again. I cannot share too much details, but does it make sense, Cédric, the way how I'm explaining is?
Yeah. I try to stay out of this because, as you maybe know, I was doing the importation in France for 15 years. But yeah, it's like this more or less. You have some good shop and some other one, and the one who plays the order on time with good quantities, they have the product on stock, and you can call them and order the gear. And the rest, I'm sorry, but at one point they have to do the job on time, so it's like that.
Thanks. All right, I'm just checking to the team. Did we miss any questions? No, it's a bit difficult to scroll back. So
if you have any questions, please just unmute your mic and ask this question.
Christian has another one about the extended area of the clue. You mean actually, I cannot work there.
Yeah, I think he's talking about this extended area behind the clue, which in the older sail wasn't there, and now is back. I think since the Mach 6 or the Mach 7 actually.
Yeah. So at the end, this is only one parameter out of several one, and they have to work all together. It's not because you have a long boom or short boom that the sail is going to be good or bad, basically. First of all, we used to have long boom, let's say, and we were trying to improve the low end, as Matteo said, because we need that. So we were playing a lot with the boom length. And to be honest, it was working, but we have also some done phases of this. So the best thing that we found is to make the head of the sail a little bit bigger, because it was not slower, but bring a lot of low end, as I explained, because when the wind hits the sail, it loads the sail and it work with the mast together to give you some reflex and some acceleration. So now we find a lot of low end because of that, and then we make the boom a little bit shorter to still have a perfect control with not too much back end and good release. That's why we have this long button after the boom, but it's a consequences of the rest. It's not something that we do on purpose.
Great. I got some input from the team about availability. It's not like booking.com where there's only 2 rooms available for your booking, but actually the number of sales are limited. So if you want to know about the 6.5 availability, send an email to the shop tomorrow or an evening, and we will get back to you. Anyone else, guys? Silence. So we answered all the questions. Good.
Okay, in that way, I really want to thank you for being here tonight. A lot of thanks to Jelle and Mark, who have been hosting this session behind the cameras, and to Marco for hosting it as well. And a lot of thanks from Cedric and Matteo for being here and explaining us all the details.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks a lot for helping. Let's all meet in Grisant in a few months, and maybe 1 month before in La Palme for the one of you joining the Prince of Crete. And then the final comment we have to make, don't forget our Davy experience. It's really cool adventure. 2 spots left, Marco. 3 maximum.
See you
Yeah,
next
it would
week.
be really great to see you there.
I think of... Yes, please.
Marco, hoor je mij nog?
Ja.
Hoor. Ik had wel, sorry, goedenavond. Ik had wel iets geschreven, maar het was misschien een beetje een voorloper op de uitleg van de,
Can you do it in English,
van de
Jerome?
moto. Yes, no problem. Sorry. Good evening, everyone. I had some questions about the moto. You didn't talk a lot of the moto. I'm a slalom sailor. I'm using 8.6 till 7.0. Below 7.0, I will change to freeride or freestyle wave gear because the wind is too much and I'm looking for control and just flying over the water. I use 2 isonic boards, 83 and 37, and I've got an 8.6 on the 83, and I want to change the 8.6 to 8.4 moto just for the weight. Easy of useness, and my 7.0 Mach is almost broken, and I want to change that in a 6.8 moto because a lot of wind and just control. And I'm surfing at all spots in all Holland, just sometimes on flat water, but also on choppy water. What can you tell me about changing from 8.6 Mach to the 8.4 moto on a slalom board and also on the 73 isonic with a 6.8 moto?
I would say it's perfect. Yes, sorry, Seth.
No, you can go there. From what I understand, I think there will be no problem actually, because you are not looking for top performance, you are looking for range and easiness. And the moto will have, to be honest, a little bit less power, under power. But as soon as you plane, the sail has amazing upwind and low end. So it's just in terms of pure acceleration, you will take a little bit more time to get to your top speed. But yes, the weight difference is massive, and the feeling is super easy with the moto. As Matteo said, I was doing a shooting like 1 month ago here with a moto, the 6.8, and I was really surprised how the sail works. Just to be honest, in terms of low end under power, you will have more juice with a Mach 8, but it's not a bad choice at all, to be honest. Just the gap maybe sometime between 6.8 and 8.4 can be big, but at the end of the day, I don't think it will be too big. So you can jump from 6.8 to 8.4, no problem.
Yeah, I still had a 7.8 Mach, and I will change to a Mach 8 because that's for me the the middle range of wind, and I can surf perfectly also on the 83, but mostly on the 37 of 73, 37. No, you know what I mean. And below,
I think the moto would work nicely on the 73 as well. The 8.4 being light, you can, if you go in flat spots, in choppy, no, but in flat spots, you can put it nicely on the 73 because it's quite of a wide board, has a lot of low end, let's say. So I guess that would help you with the range. So you can kind of use like the 8.4 on your 83, and then still the 8.4 you can still put it on the 73 as well if it's a flat day, and then you can jump on the 7.5 Mach that you will have, and with that you cover a lot of range, and then with the 7.8. But as Cedric said, maybe if you take the 7.5 Mach, you can go with a smaller moto below 6.8. That would be quite close, that gap. So I wouldn't mind having like, I don't know, 8.4, the 7.5 Mach, and then something smaller than a 6.8 moto. That's my personal opinion.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, but I think a 6.8 Mach of a moto will be, when I go smaller, then I need a smaller board because I only had the 37 of the.
Yeah, but for example, I use the 6.5 a lot on the 73.
Okay.
And I don't have any. I use a lot. I love the combination of the 73 with the 6.5.
Okay.
Especially last year in DWA, I used a lot. So you can use it.
This is a modern trend. Let's say even in waves, maybe to have big boards under the feet, because big boards have so much control nowadays. They help you to plane, to pass the hole, to go upwind, and not so much big sail into the end, because the sails are so efficient now. You don't need massive size of sail to plane as before. And when you're on planing, they feel comfortable. So this is a trend actually. I was really
thank you very much.
And Jeroen, just sorry that we missed your question.
No
we
problem.
also do delivery in the middle of the Netherlands, so you don't need to go to Harderwijk.
Ik zie je wel weer op Horst, hè?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
All right. I think Matteo and Cedric, thanks again. Thank you for your
pleasure,
time.
guys. A pleasure.
No problem.
And enjoy the starting of your weekend, and see you very soon.
Thank you for the inputs. Thank you for the inputs.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye bye.